Hello everyone, my name is Jesse Perez and this is my presentation on behavioral strategies for male collegiate baseball players enhancing mental performance. The population I've chosen for this critical assignment are male collegiate baseball players ages 18 through 22, and I chose this population due to my personal connection and heart for baseball. I played baseball from ages 5 to 18, starting in T-ball and playing up to starting on my high school varsity team. I was a pitcher and a first baseman, understanding the stress of playing a mental game of chess against the opposing hitter when pitching, and the stress of trying to guess the pitcher's next steps when at the plate. My professional team that I love to watch is the Los Angeles Dodgers, whom I have loved since the day I was born. Going to Dodgers games with my family and watching superstars not only slug balls and demonstrate physical prowess, but play lockdown defense and be mentally dialed up to another level has always excited me. Due to my passion for baseball, going to CBU and seeing that there is D1 college baseball riveted me, as I often catch glimpses of practice and go to a few games to watch baseball. Knowing baseball not only requires intense weightlifting, seasons and sessions, and physical demand, but also psychosocial and psychological challenges. The stress and anxiety of performing in front of coaches, teammates, and friends weighs upon the mind of collegiate athletes, alongside external motivators such as rewards, first-team honors, statistics such as home runs or strikeouts, and even scholarship worries. Team players also struggle to find their roles or to keep the role they have been designated, hence role clarity needing to be asserted by a trainer or a team professional. Through mental skills training, behavioral theories, and other strategies, not only the intensity and effort of practice will be boosted, but the motivation, mental toughness, confidence, and resilience of the baseball players will be uplifted. Now, jumping into the physical environment. When addressing collegiate baseball players, it is important to address their physical surroundings and how it affects them. The physical environment consists of the team's complex training facilities, such as the weight room, batting field, batting cages, practice fields, simulators, clubhouse, rehab facilities, and more. The quality of the practice facilities, alongside a well-structured training regimen, can influence the mood, behavior, and motivation of the players. Having high-quality resources to improve skill and performance, alongside specifically planned workouts to increase strength and overall performance, can increase the motivation of the players and reduce injury. Motivation can decrease due to poor quality weight training areas and practice fields, along with a lack of batting cage equipment or lack of skill and feedback decreases motivation to dedicate time to effective training or improved work ethic. Motivation is defined as the direction and intensity of one's effort, and in collegiate baseball, intrinsic motivation is the primary motivator that produces an increased performance. This is portrayed as a self-determination theory, which will boost the resilience and autonomy amongst all the baseball players. Intrinsic motivation in terms of collegiate baseball can be the availability of quality training facilities, encouraging players to work out effectively and have access to the necessary equipment to improve. For example, if you're a pitcher, you want to fling the medicine ball into the wall in order to work your external and internal rotation of the shoulders and then get the health up and be able to throw faster and quicker. This ties into an effective weight training regimen that avoids injury while allowing the athlete to personalize their workout so that they enjoy what they're doing and don't feel burned out trying to focus on lifting or any form of dynamic stretching to improve. With intrinsic motivation, the athlete will focus on specific skills and technique, effectively improving their physical and cognitive performance. Physical environment and arousal ties in because arousal in the physical environment refers to a heightened state of a physical and mental alertness, where the body is in an activated state of flux. And this in baseball refers to games in front of real-life crowds, fans who heckle, and potential scouts or coaches watching to deem they're worthy of their scholarship or not. At home games, players have a reduced arousal, I would say, as they are familiar with their home crowd, and their home crowd supports them alongside friends and teammates. Playing at home means the player is also familiar to the dimensions of the field, such as left field being 390 feet compared to a different field where it might be 410 feet. But that is essentially where they are comfortable in that space, as they know how the wind carries the ball and they understand the play and performance of the field. Playing in an opposing stadium leads to a heightened arousal, where they are in a new stadium with unfamiliar dimensions. Familiarity of the tactics of the opposing team or city, along with potential heckling from opposing fans. Regarding stress in the physical environment, stress is determined as an imbalance of high physical or mental demand, and the ability of an athlete to meet the demand. Fear to meet the demand or fear of failure leads to underperforming to avoid failure, which will limit the capability of collegiate baseball athletes. Stressors in the physical environment could be an opposing team pitching staff averaging 97 plus miles per hour on a mound, throwing heat while painting the corners, along with having a command over the nasty off-speed pitches such as curveballs, sliders, or changeups, to which they can flip between the fastball or the curveball and throw you off balance. This stress can also be reversed, especially if one is pitching and the hitter they are facing has a .340 batting average and has an advanced plate discipline and avoids walks, while also maintaining the ability to kill a baseball when given a lazy pitch. This means their plate discipline is truly through the roof, such as you can think of batters such as Mike Trout. Yes, he does have a high strikeout percentage. However, when you give him a lazy pitch, he will rope the ball. To decrease stress or limit arousal, positive feedback and reinforcement must be used by coaches, training staff, or teammates to counter self-judgment. Coaches can use statistical analysis to track performance and provide feedback for their players to improve by identifying their strengths and how to improve in lacking areas. Film review or batting cage practice allows coaches to watch performance and provide positive feedback, acknowledging the things they are doing well, while also providing feedback in areas of necessary improvement in order to make them a better player. Social environment is rooted in connections, such as those between coaches, teammates, along with family and friends. Mental resilience and behavior are directly impacted by an athlete's social environment. Teams with strong connections and foundations, however, will lead to increased motivation and team success. Extrinsic motivation can be tied to family culture, social environment, and the role of coaches, as baseball players will aim to please their friends, family, and coaches by playing to the best of their ability and producing an above-average performance. Instead of focusing on personal improvement and growth, the player will tend to avoid failure and wants to receive praise from those around them who have set high expectations. In a social setting, arousiness can find optimal levels or a regular heart rate and mind activity when baseball teammates cheer on plate appearances and use positive feedback during failures or shortcomings. It is key for coaches to strategize their coaching philosophy to uplift and motivate players rather than tear them down, as heightened arousal can produce mental instability and causing a player to become nervous about baseball during an at-bat or forgetful of the situation while in the field. Baseball players tend to feel mistreated by their coaches or teammates in specific scenarios, which leads to negative thoughts and loss of self-confidence, inducing stress because they're anxious to fail. The positivity and uplifting moments from teammates and coaches allow the athlete to combat stress and maintain a stable mental state, reducing tension and relegating the player's emotions. Reinforcement in the social environment involves effective tactics of positivity from coaches and teammates. To influence behavior and reduce stress in the face of mistakes or anxious situations, coaches will focus on a positive and uplifting approach to avoid fear or decrease motivation in their players. Teammates and school peers also influence with comments outside of the baseball field and practice facilities, which may uplift and positively affect the baseball athlete's self-image, of course, or cause them to minimize themselves and become mentally drained. It could be either or. Moving on to family culture provides the framework and motivational foundation for why baseball players begin to play their sport, influencing their skill, performance, and behavior. The family culture emphasizes success and high expectations in the form of potential money problems, meaning it is crucial that the collegiate athlete perform or else they lose their scholarship and education. Parents' personal love for the sport and pushing of their children to play is the beginning of motivation. If this motivation grows and the child beginning baseball continues to love the sport and play at a competitive level, then parental expectations may rise, bringing stress to the collegiate athlete and clash with their motivations. Regarding culture and challenges that collegiate baseball players handle, the family provides the means of primary socialization, which is how the athlete creates their own identity in the sport and learns how to play the game with the skills that they have, along with the means for improvement. Primary socialization not only handles the physical and cognitive aspects of creating a skill set and personal identity, but is also a way for collegiate baseball players to establish their coping mechanisms, how they handle expectations, and how to handle success and failure. Parents tend to have unattainable goals, which will stress the collegiate players out and cause them to play for a goal set by others, not by themselves, deemed extrinsic motivation. Cheering from family in moments of uplifting in the past can allow the athlete to maintain their sense of family culture and pride, knowing they will not be criticized in the face of failure and maintaining arousal. Family culture can determine how collegiate baseball athletes handle this stress and the behavioral consequences of their actions in adverse situations. From a young age, baseball players will feel the stress and anxiety of game-winning or clutch scenarios, and familiar figures are the first teachers to demonstrate how to handle the weight of different situations. If their demonstrations and forms of stress management are practical, the athlete will become resilient and less prone to stress. However, if the family contributes to performance stress, the baseball athlete will be developmentally delayed in handling stressful scenarios. Family culture is another form of positive feedback and reinforcement that can sway the mood of the collegiate athlete. Structure and foundation to criticism in challenging moments begin with how a family uplifts and encourages their young athlete. which can be effective, continuous reinforcement, which in baseball involves attention to improvement and effort. Moving on to goals. Outcome goals in baseball require a crowned skill in kind of things you set your mind toward in the future, such as short-term goals encourage and boost a team drive to win an upcoming 3-game series against a conference rival. This can be CVU playing GCU. It's a big rivalry, I would say. Along with the long-term goal of winning the conference championship by the end of the season, preferably dominating teams that are lost in the regular season, also claiming the regular season championship. Performance goals involve kind of individual players as a whole, where you can have players successfully steal at least 2 bases per game to advance to a scoring position over the next 3-game series as a short-term goal, which honestly is kind of hard to steal bases due to opposing catcher's skill and the jump you get and how well the pitcher can read you. The long-term goal is you can increase your team on base percentage from a season average 0.375 to 400 in the postseason. It just depends how you go about it. Process goals are kind of the goals that you work on your skill set to get the final results, such as the performance goals and such as that. So the short-term goal will create a time period for players to watch personal film and track discipline at the plate, along with hand-eye coordination over the next week of practice. Long-term goals can be creating a daily flexibility / strength and conditioning routine to enhance the mobility and dynamic explosiveness of the team throughout the season. Regarding outcome goals, a strategy to improve the short-term goal of winning an upcoming 3-game series against a conference rival is to improve team confidence and morale by emphasizing leadership and cohesion amongst the team members, through bonding time and creating player roles where everyone's involved in the winning strategy. Another strategy is to schedule inter-squad competitions, where you can face off against each other and simulate the intensity of a real game. For the long term of winning the regular season championship and potentially a conference championship can be accomplished through training regimens and practices that track the players' growth throughout the season, adjusting their performance to increase their output to benefit the team's overall success. You also want to increase mental resilience and durability to play over 50 games during one single season, as it may tire a player out and you can reduce burnout. In order to steal 2 bases per game, it is important to watch film and the opposing tactics of the team, especially the mechanics and timing of the pitcher and the catcher, along with measuring their situational awareness and seeing how adept they are to catching your stealing attempts. Furthermore, into goals, the long-term performance goal of increasing a regular season on base percentage from 375 to 400 can be done through practicing discipline and hand-eye coordination, allowing players to recognize the type of pitch coming and understand the trajectory of the ball and its destination, along with making and seeing if you want to make a swing or not, or a check swing to hold yourself back. That's why you practice hand-eye coordination to check yourself if the ball's coming in and be able to stop your swing. These simulated scenarios that you want to throw yourself in the batting cage or understanding pitch recognition can increase walk percentage and decrease the ratio of balls swung at by the athletes, allowing them to recognize more good pitches. Finally, on the process goals, the short-term goal of watching films to track hand-eye coordination and play discipline is achieved by scheduling film sessions that baseball athletes must attend to analyze their mistakes and adjust their approach to the plate to reap success with improved play discipline. And if you have the financial capability of your program, VR training definitely helps. Additionally, when focusing on the long-term process goals of adding a flexibility / strength and conditioning routine, it is important to recruit a staff knowledgeable in explosive exercises and non-injury risk stretches. These strength and conditioning coaches will implement periods of dynamic warm-ups to stimulate game movements. Finally, biblical application in sports psychology shifts the focus beyond just physical training, and it delves into mental resilience, confidence, and motivation. These are crucial for athletic success, but they can be further strengthened through a spiritual foundation. For example, when facing failure, you want to turn to Romans 5:3-4, which reminds us suffering produces perseverance and character, and then character produces hope. Failure is not the end, but it's a part of growth. Through challenges, athletes will develop perseverance. And also diligence, for example, and then Colossians 3:23 says, "Whatever you do, work at with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters." This just reminds us that the work ethic should be an act of worship, not for selfish and ambitious gains, but ultimately to be honoring to the Lord. Along with you kind of touching on things such as resilience in James 1:2-4, and that's finding joys in trials, and that testing produces perseverance. And then Philippians 4:6-7, without anxiety, that we always need to go to the Lord in prayer, and He will relieve our pains. Throughout the exploration of sport, psychology, and behavioral theories, I've gained some valuable insight, especially into the importance of goal setting and how it just kind of provides direction and motivation, and behavioral theories can kind of just work better for like SMART goals and such like that, and short-term goals build confidence and momentum, And just like eventually we mentioned the DISC assessment, and that can just help out more with planning in the future. But I want to learn more about mental resilience activities in prominent athletes such as Shohei Ohtani, and how sports psychology further coincides with biblical application and how the Lord works in athletes. Thank you.
And this is my reference page. Thank you, Dr. Garrett.